Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome all of you on Innovation Bridge Warsaw-Brussels. So today we are connecting with Belgium, and I'm sure that you will find out a lot of really interesting information about Warsaw and about Brussels, about Belgium. We have amazing guests and also. The co-organizer of this event is Hub Brussels. Now I would like to invite Nicolas Neve to the stage. He's a co-organizer of this event. Hello, Nicolas. Thank you for making this happen.
Hello.
From the Brussels side. And before we will move on and before we will invite our amazing speakers for today, I would like to say a few words about today's agenda. So at the beginning, we are going to talk about city ecosystem, then business ecosystem and startup ecosystem in both cities. Then we will have a chance to talk with people during the networking at the tables. Some of you had a chance to see the tables before. So if you would like to talk with somebody, you need to switch on your mic and camera. And if you want to change the table, you need to double click to other table, and you can talk with people. Every table has name, so you can find some organizations and startups at the tables. We will also hear some presentations from the startups from both sides, Brussels and Warsaw, Poland. And some technical tips. On the right, you can see the chat and Q&A section. So if you would like to ask some questions or just welcome everyone or put some comments from your side, you can use it and you can communicate there. So now, Nicolas, maybe you would like to also say a few words from your side before we will move.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Eva. And I'm very happy that already since our first meeting, it was in fall last year, came out the first fruit of our collaboration. Today, I'm very happy that it's the turn of Brussels to take the floor on this cycle innovation bridge between Warsaw and another metropolia in the world. And so I would like immediately to difficult challenge to present our VIP speaker of today, our Secretary of State, Pascal Smet. He's a member of the Brussels government of the Brussels region for many years. He has for this government one of among the most important competences, but for you, for the audience, the two are extremely important: external trade, including the welcoming of foreign investors in Brussels, and also urban planning. But I will not. It's not my duty to speak now. I would like to invite Mr. Smet to open formally this innovation bridge, Warsaw-Brussels. Minister, you have the floor.
Hello, Nicolas. Hello, Eva. Good morning from Brussels. Still a very cloudy Brussels, not that warm, but from tomorrow on, we will get finally summer and spring in your capital too, because after all, Brussels is the capital of the European Union. And it's for me a pleasure to welcome you here for this startup exchange. For those of you who don't know Brussels, Brussels is a very cosmopolitan city. We are the most cosmopolitan city of Europe. We are the second in the world after Dubai. We have a very young population, well educated. We have lots of startups too, and that's the reason why we strongly believe that the city of Warsaw and Brussels should work much more together, and that we are willing to offer our services to attract young startups of older startups, whatever, from Warsaw and Poland towards Brussels. We know it's not always easy, and the same for us, of course, but we want to be this open, welcoming city and give you support. For that reason, we have Hub Brussels, a wonderful administration of which Nicolas is based in Warsaw, to help you to come to Brussels. But also in Brussels itself, we have developed the last months the whole program to accelerate the coming of international startups. Because after all, when you come to Brussels, you come to Europe. It's the gateway to Europe. We are very well connected through planes, through trains, fast trains, so not only the railway system, but also the roads are excellent. Once again, we have a lot of people who speak lots of international languages. And which is the nice thing about Brussels is that there is no dominant culture. That means it's a city of minorities. That means that a lot of people can be who they are, what they are, and how they want to be and live their lives. And for you particularly, there are already a lot of people from Poland actually living in Brussels. So you will find Polish shops too, with all the Polish products for eating. And in generally, the quality of life in Brussels is very good. So we think we have a wonderful environment, because it's not only about work, it's also about free time if you come to another city. And you should know that we attract a lot of artists to Brussels, because there is this space of freedom. So we're looking forward to welcome you in Brussels. And I would like to say that I will come to Warsaw normally in November on a real estate mission. And of course, we will take the opportunity to do also broader than real estate and meet maybe some of you and certainly the organization. So I wish you a wonderful morning with lots of information. We will explain, the people of us will explain to you all the aid that we can give to you, from free infrastructure, support, things like that. So we are waiting for you to come to Brussels. And once again, don't forget, Warsaw may be your first capital. Brussels is definitely your second capital. So have a nice day today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Minister, for these great welcoming remarks. I'm sure that this event will be full of useful information, and we will start to build this connection between two cities. So now we will move to the city ecosystem, and here I would like to invite on the stage Ewelina Tomczyk-Malec. Ewelina represents City of Warsaw, and she will share some useful information about Warsaw.
Hello,
everybody. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Ewelina Tomczyk-Malec, and I work for the Economic Development Department within the City of Warsaw. And today, I loved hearing about Brussels and, the extraordinary sites, and I see a lot of similarities. So I would like to show you maybe a few things and mention a few important facts about Warsaw, and maybe attract you to come and visit our beautiful capital. So just starting to share my, my presentation. If everything's okay. Okay, is it shared? Hello? Hello, everybody. Hello?
Yeah, everything works.
Yeah, everything works. Sorry, because I had some difficulties. Okay, so great. I'll start on, because I know we have a limited amount of time. So talking about Warsaw, it's impossible not to mention a few very important facts about Poland as the whole country.
Excuse me, because now we cannot see the presentation, but before that it was everything worked. So
okay, what about, hold on, sorry, I'm sorry, it's always
no problem.
a huge
Yeah, it's technology. Like,
yeah.
now it works.
Okay, perfect. Starting again. Okay, perfect. So talking about Warsaw, I think it would be impossible not to mention just a few simple facts about Poland as whole. We are a 38 million largest population across the CE markets. And I think what is worth mentioning is that we are the 5th largest economy in the European Union and one of the 25 largest economies worldwide. It would be impossible not to mention the fact that Warsaw is the only country within the European Union who managed to proceed economically the last 25 years without any recession. I think this, as well as the steady GDP growth, proves the economical stability of our country. And that is why so many investors turn to Poland, turn to Polish cities, and research those cities as the possible destination of their relocation. As you probably know, Poland is centrally located within Europe, and as well as Warsaw is centrally located within the Polish boundaries. We are a very well and worldwide connected city with almost 200 destinations connecting all continents, all cities, and it is very easy to communicate with a centrally located airport within Warsaw's city limits. So I think that is an important factor for investors who are seeking an easy way to travel and maybe move between different destinations where they have their offices or their businesses. Warsaw, like I said, is also centrally located within the Polish borders. We are very well connected with other major Polish cities, such as Tricity, Poznań, Wrocław. They are very well connected by car, by plane, so it is easy to travel and move around Poland. Coming specifically to Warsaw, we are a 1.7 million citizen agglomeration. I think what is important to underline is that over 70% of Warsaw citizens have higher education, and also 40% of all Warsaw citizens speak English. It is definitely the second most popular language among our citizens. We have been recognized, Warsaw has been recognized by major European rankings in areas such as City of the Future, Polish City of the Future, Emerging Europe's Business-Friendly Perception Survey. And I think that is why investors find out about Warsaw and the possibilities our capital has to offer economically and business-wise. Talking about Warsaw, I think we have three most important factors which make us so extraordinary and so interesting. And definitely, I think the most important is people, our talent pool. Starting with the young people, academic centers. We have a very strong academic center in Warsaw, and each year there's over 200,000 students studying on all different faculties in our universities. This offers over 50,000 graduates who enter the labor market, being open to new possibilities and starting to work for international as well as domestic companies. I think what is also very interesting is that almost 30% of all foreign students coming to Poland choose Warsaw as their destination to study and maybe develop their career afterwards. The majority of all students in Warsaw, they consider it a good place for career development. They have a lot of possibilities and a lot of ways to choose, a lot of possibilities to choose from for their future career. Like I said before, the academic center is very strong, comparing also to other Polish cities. We have 49 private universities, 17 public universities. The offer of faculties and areas and fields you can study is very wide. Also, international studies are offered. And over here on the right-hand side, I'm sorry, we mentioned some of the main faculties chosen by students. So as you can see, the number of students studying in business and administration, over 45,000 students, technical and engineering, languages, information and communication technologies. Those are just a few of the faculties that students choose from and that find them so interesting. So the offer is very wide and there's a wide possibility to choose from. Like I mentioned before, English is definitely our second most popular language. 94% of students in Warsaw speak English. English is taught since primary school, and usually throughout education, people learn another foreign language, such as German, French, Spanish, some of the few that you can choose from. Like I mentioned before, there are the most important factors making Warsaw so incredible, and definitely when it comes to talent pool and labor force, also average salaries. That is still something that is very interesting to new investors. On this slide, we try to compare the most important fields when it comes business-wise: accounting, analysis, payroll, software, and development, and compare it with other major European cities, and show you that still we are very attractive when offering lower salaries with a very good quality of talent pool. Also, over 80% of foreign investors consider employee competence in Poland as attractive, and that is why they come to Warsaw and seek new possibilities for development. It would be impossible not to mention one of the strongest sectors and very important sector in Warsaw. It is a sector that employs over 64,000 people right now, offering 279 different centers. It is the business services sector, and you definitely heard about it. And I think what is important is that the processes which are moving to Warsaw are not only the basic ones, they are also the highly developed IT processes which are being moved to Warsaw nowadays. Some of the key players, worldwide known companies such as Goldman Sachs, Citibank, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, they choose Warsaw for our talent pool and also the quality of living, as well as the office space they can choose from. Definitely one, very important intention of Warsaw is promoting and fostering the culture of innovation. That is why we try to promote and help our startup ecosystem that is, developing in Warsaw. We encourage talented authors to fulfill their passions, and we try to help them in any way we can and support them in any way we can. Some of the key startup specialties in Warsaw, such as big data, marketing and technology, fintech, are some of the few that are very interesting, and you can find really interesting people, developing their ideas for business. So I think that is something you always have to underline. But I think you'll learn about the startup ecosystem a little more from other people who are going to present later on. We also have and offer a developed and innovative R&D environment. It is a sector that employs over 39,000 people, and they are hired and they work in scientific and R&D units with over 1,000 public and private R&D entities. We invest in the infrastructure and try to make it as well as highly developed and as highly innovative as possible. And over here you have three most known probably among the R&D environment: Center of New Technology at the University of Warsaw, Center for Advanced Materials, and Center for Preclinical Research and Technology, situated as well in Warsaw. Definitely, the second aspect that makes Warsaw very interesting is the office space that we have to offer. It is definitely an area which is growing throughout the years. We offer right now over 5.9 million square meters of total office stock. Right now, as we speak, there's over 620,000 square meters under construction, and the vacancy rate is pretty low. Those are very innovative buildings, modern, and prepared to offer whichever size you would be looking of office supply. But also, seeing the situation worldwide with COVID and the pandemic, definitely we noticed that there is a lot of interest in co-working availability, and that is also something that we can offer to new investors. We offer over 170,000 square meters of total co-working stock. Only during the first quarter of 2019, over 45,000 square meters of new co-working space have been opened, and the sector's year-on-year growth rate in this area is 75%. Those are also very innovative and modern office spaces offered to investors interested in this area. office lease. And I think going further with I think the third factor, which I see as very important as well, is also the quality of living. Part of which is definitely a modern and efficient public transport. Warsaw is a very well-connected city with metro lines, rapid urban railway lines, buses, trams. We make a lot of investment to make the transport even more modern and more efficient, more eco-friendly. And as you can see, over 2.5 billion euros of investment in transport and infrastructure will be made until the year 2025. The majority of our population has a very good opinion of public transport. It is very easy to communicate around the city, not using car, but using public transport offered by the city. I think it would be inevitable not to mention that we are also a very bike-friendly city. We have a very highly developed Vetrilo public bike system, which is the 5th largest urban bike system in Europe, with over 6,000 bikes, over 900,000 users. So Warsaw, sees the need of the citizens for this area as well. We make a lot of investment in bike lanes, bike docking stations, and try to make the city as much bike-friendly as possible for our citizens. Warsaw is also a very green city. Over 40% of our area is green areas with 79 parks. I think this makes it a very comfortable place to live in, to spend your free time in. We are a very safe city, the 7th safest capital in Europe and 8th worldwide. And also the majority of our residents have definitely a positive opinion about life in Warsaw. So that is why young people choose Warsaw as their destination, because not only can they develop their career, but they can also live here and settle, have families over here, and have a comfortable type of living. Museums, cinemas, theaters, outdoor gyms. We have public beaches. The Vistula River is also an incredible place to spend your free time. The possibilities in Warsaw are endless. You think of something and you will find that definitely in Warsaw, and that is, I think, that is the main reason why Warsaw is chosen by so many investors and young people and people just to move and live and develop their career. And that is why I encourage you to visit our beautiful city, and hope you see how wonderful it is and why it is so interesting to investors and people from foreign countries. I hope I managed to show you some of the few important aspects about our beautiful city and interest you and maybe attract you to come and visit it. And if you have any questions about Warsaw, please do not hesitate to contact us and let us know. So thank you very much for your attention.
Hello? Yes, because do you hear me? Yes. Okay. Then, sorry, because that network was down for a few seconds. Thank you very much, Mrs. Evelina, for your presentation. Now, we will skip to the ecosystem in Brussels, of the Brussels city region. For these presentations, we collaborate. Hub Brussels is collaborating with Visit Brussels. I'm very glad to introduce Mr. Jan Lichota. Yes, you hear me well. Jan Lichota. Is he Belgian from Polish origin, from old immigration? No. He's a real Poles of krwią i kości, as you say. But I'm very glad to say this, because it shows that when you have the necessary qualification, a pole can work not only in the private sector in Brussels, but also in our public administration, such as any other citizens of another country of the European Union. Jan, thank you for participating to this event. I give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. Dzień dobry. If I just Okay, I'm very glad to participate today at the event. So I will give you a short overview of what's happening in Brussels, maybe with a little bit less details that I have just seen from Evelina. However, I hope you will be interested in what's happening in the Brussels capital region as well. So Brussels is, I hope I can get the presentation. In the Brussels capital region, which has been developing a lot in recent years. And okay. And now you will see it. Okay, thank you. In recent years, and it has been change of priorities that has been set up by the Brussels government already 10 years ago, and we see that 10 years later how things have been changing, and also it was in parallel with the changes that have been happening in the world as well. So we should not forget that Brussels is the capital of the Kingdom of Belgium. That's already since its inception in 1830. And it's a region of its own since more than 30 years. And thanks to the fact of being the seat of various European institutions, it's also the capital of over 500,000 Europeans. It's a city that is very well connected also to the world, thanks to transatlantic connections with the United States and Canada, and also with Africa, and also to Japan, so and the Middle East. So no destination is more than 6 hours away from Brussels. One thing that we should not forget is that also Brussels has been the first city in Europe that in 19th century had, on continental Europe, that had a railway connection, and this year is the European Year of Rail. And we are very happy also to see that the night trains that are being planned, there are 6 new lines that are planned, one that was relaunched yesterday with Vienna, and also we are happy to see that the last, in fact, night train line that has been happening with Warsaw, it's also in the plans to be there. So more business opportunities hopefully will come as well, since the other connection is, of course, by road, 1,300 kilometers on a straight line between Brussels and Warsaw, which is good for personnel and also for merchandise transport. But Brussels, it's over 1.2 million inhabitants. The population of Brussels has been increasing over the last 20 years. With the latest statistics that have been published is that it has been kept stable, more or less stable in the last 2 years. And Brussels is the most cosmopolitan city in Europe, with over 180 nationalities in the public register, which makes it, which gives a lot of opportunities to interact. And Brussels has also large green space all over the city, which also is in the plans of being increased. We just inaugurated a new park this year, and another one is also already foreseen next year in the south of Brussels. Brussels is very large dependent also on the tourism and hospitality sector. So last year has been a big hit on the sector itself, which is recovering. But we have good news that not only some hotels have been closing, but this year we are opening eight new facilities, and also the bed and breakfast network in all kinds is being active. And just before the closure of all activities, we have reached over 23,000 cultural events per year, and now it's the big wish to catch up a little bit on that one. What we must notice is that Brussels is a capital region, but is also split it into 19 municipalities, which deal with all the local elements which are important for the citizens, residents, and also for companies which are established there. And we will see in a minute how they do it. As I mentioned, Brussels, it's not only 118 nationalities, but it has also an important presence of international organizations, with 42 of them being based here. Of course, the European institutions are the most known, but also the NATO, which will have its summit in 2 weeks' time, and also the World Customs Organization and some other specialized UN agencies or technical agencies, like for the standardization one. Of course, this means a big, large international community of official companies, journalists and consultants, and services which are also offered to the residents may also be offered to this community. And this has also led Brussels to being the #1 international meetings capital, and in particular for international associations, which we will hopefully see recovering in the coming months soon. Coming to the business ecosystem, we must not forget that Brussels is a city which has an industrial heritage. It has been developed through the 19th century and also 20th century. It has kept its industry. It's one of the few capitals in Europe that has kept its industry. And now it's recovering this industry into a more circular approach. And Brussels has also been a big hub for transport of goods in the 19th and beginning of 20th century, from the seaport of Antwerp to Brussels, and from Brussels goods were transported by train to the other capitals of Europe. Nowadays we see a different situation where the port of Brussels is a lot of merchandise through rivers, and also then it goes to has direct access to the sea. We should not forget that Brussels has also a large human capital possibilities, thanks to people coming from all over the country, but also all over the world, and which work in make prosper the main economic clusters which are present here, namely the business services, life sciences, with a big pharmaceutical companies having their seat here, Johnson & Johnson, for example, or GlaxoSmithKline Wellcome. It's either in Brussels or the surroundings. In terms of business services, we may see lawyers, consultants, and also the headquarters of some major companies like Toyota Motor Europe or Hewlett-Packard, which also then do business across the continent. Brussels has also specialized in particular in circular economy in order to link all the activities that are held in the city, that are kept in the city. And this has been especially seen now in the housing sector, and also it's moving this approach into the so-called Brussels donut in other areas. Thanks to the presence of universities and other circles, the social sciences are also a very important factor in terms of education and development of networks. Being also a big hub for culture and arts and heritage, a lot of companies have their seat here and also develop international cooperation, thanks in particular to many EU projects. Brussels has also its own fashion incubator, the MAD, which is developing a lot of, again, based on the circular economy approach. So the workshops where clothes are made are also being reestablished now in the city, and also due to the fact that we had a big meetings and events community, also related to that, also all the technical sector linked to the audiovisual could be developed. But also Brussels has kept also in 2020 its filming activities for new films. Thanks to the Film Commission managed by Screen Brussels, and we had series like Les Miserables that were done for the BBC, and also this year a lot of French films were also made beginning of 2021. As I mentioned, the Knowledge Hub is present here since thanks to the two public universities, the Free University of Brussels in its French and its Flemish-speaking side, and also the Saint Louis University, which initially was done on social sciences and has been then developed into other areas. But we also have specialized schools in journalism or design or architecture. In architecture, and also some other Belgian universities have specific faculties, like the Leuven University with their economics branch, or the Louvain Université Catholique de Louvain with their medical faculty. Foreign universities have also established here some faculties, the Kent University from the UK, Maastricht, and also the Spanish Distance Learning University. Business schools, which are private schools like Vlerik, or also some private schools which now became faculties of the university, like ULB with the Solvay Brussels Economics and Management School. And we also have various training centers for in industrial design, but also then also others which are dedicated to, for example, management of EU funds and all those related to cooperation in development, so in more other social areas. The support to business is done mainly by Hub Brussels, which is one of the agencies which does it for investors coming from abroad, but also then here in the city. And for new startups, we have a specific branch, 1819 Brussels, which is for all those who wish to set up a new activity, and which is developed by phone, personal meetings, website, but also now they are launching a bus that will be going all around the city to encourage people to set up their business or clarify all administrative aspects. Also, each of the local districts have its group of economic development, the GEL, which then helps all new entrepreneurs to set up their activities. It's more of a between startup and scale up, and also local districts allow then build pop-up spaces for newcomers, especially in the commercial sector, and also specific associations which help develop them, as well as then integrate into specific co-working spaces. We have COP City, which is one of them, focusing on social companies with social ends. The development in recent years has been huge, especially in the life sciences sector, due to the private-public cooperation, in particular in the pharmaceutical, which now proves to be is in particular very important in the current times, but also in the energy, especially in the urban, which is very important for the has a direct consequence on the sustainable building. We have a specific agency called Home Grade Brussels, which invests in how to diminish the energy impact in Brussels, and also how to improve the urban development of the city. Also, an initiative that has been launched this spring, it's Artificial Intelligence for Belgium, which is a big consortium of many of the universities, but also all tech companies which are present here. And this is also part of the trend that we see in other technical aspects that are being developed in Brussels, which benefits also from the European Union, European Commission research days that are being held here. So the cooperation for engaging into new partnerships is made easier thanks to this positioning. In terms of for those who come here and stay as residents, the quality of life is quite high because the housing is has been developing, and the offer is huge across the whole city, and the public transport has been is being steadily developed. This has been a priority for Brussels already since end of 19th century. Brussels has one of the oldest tramway lines in Europe, but also now it has gone into all the new soft mobility schemes with bicycle lanes and also all the shared vehicles. We have some startups like Poppy, which has a big fleet, and they are steadily developing that also in other cities. Of course, education is not only the high education, but for those that develop further, their families. So we have a wide range of schools with a big density in the whole region. The houses are never too far from a school. Schools are in French and Dutch speaking, but also we have a big network of international schools, British, French, Japanese, for example. And of course, after schools, we also have the different opportunities for the cultural events that are managed. We have a one-stop shop with the agenda.brussels website, which informs steadily on those events. And events may be of international character, but also there are many of local events, whether they're flea markets, but also some events involving the local neighborhoods. And as I said, the cultural sector it has been a very important factor of development. And to the musea we have over 100 musea in the city, guided tours which are multilingual, and now we have been doing a lot of investments in technology for virtual visits and also exhibitions, which is quite important sector for us. And very briefly, the different districts that are being developed now, it's all the area around the canal and of Brussels, bringing the city closer to water. And we have seen new breweries that are being developed there. Also the changing of old breweries into event areas. And also one big project, which is the canal, which will be a big modern art center, but also combining cultural life and will be open to all residents. Finally, a story which may come from my own field, the Visit Brussels Awards. We also took into account the crisis that has happened, and we focused on how to support local companies with our, thanks to our tourism activities, and still that focusing on those that were still able to engage into creative activities despite the constraints, and we wish also to give them specific awards this time, so that the entrepreneurial spirit also remains in that area. And I wish to end here, and I'm available for any questions. So, and I may provide more figures as well. Thank you. Dziękuję.
Thank you so much for a great presentation. We will have a chance to talk at the tables and ask some questions after all the presentations. So now we will move to business ecosystem in both cities. And now I would like to invite on stage Radek Pituch. Radek is an expert in Polish Investment and Trade Agency. And Radek, we will share some information about doing business in Poland. Stage is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me, first of all?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you.
Perfect. Apologies for late. I had some technical difficulties, obviously, but I think now screen. So as Eva said, I represent the Polish Investment and Trade Agency, and we are a state-owned. Just give me a second. Okay. I will just go to the full screen mode. So
yes, it's visible.
So yes, hello everyone. Thanks for having me here. And I represent the Investment Trade Agency. We are a state-owned agency taking care of foreign direct investments. It's the one segment that we do, and the other is supporting Polish small and medium enterprises in their adventure to going abroad with their products, their services. So there are basically two pillars of our of the scope of our activities. One is foreign direct investments, and the other is the export, supporting the export of Polish companies. So 5 years since PAI was founded, we have supported more than 900 FDI projects in Poland with more than 20 billion euro capex, creating more than 200,000 new jobs. So these are all the figures that concern the projects, all the types of investments Polish Investment and Trade Agency has supported over the years. Plus, we have supported more than 250 projects, arranged more than 1,600 B2B meetings for Polish exporters and with their foreign counterparts and partners, and more than 370 trade missions. Our Center for Investments, where I work, is a center comprising of 20 experts. In the scope of our projects are those coming from the business shared services sector that are the top as it comes to numbers, e-mobility, which is also an important part of our portfolio, automotive, R&D, food industry, medical, just to name a few. These are the top sectors that the potential investors. And as you can see, our top countries as it comes to potential investors is currently Belarus, business harbor, where Belarusian companies and Belarusian citizens have an easier access to visas to Poland in the current state of events in Belarus. Last year in September to help Belarusian companies relocate from their country to Poland. Of course, the second top country as it comes to potential investors is the US. And then Poland, of course, South Korea, Japan, China. These Asian originating potential investors mostly run their industry projects, so it's production. Our Our portfolio is currently more than 190 running projects. As I said before, over the last 25 years, we've completed more than 900 with success in Poland, with the value of more than 25 billion euros. As it comes to Poland as a interesting location for potential investors, we are the 5th most populous country in the EU, with more than 38 million people living here. Cities exceeding 200,000 inhabitants. Warsaw, the capital, it's with its metro, it's almost 3 million people. Most of Poles, more than half of Poles, declare speaking at least one foreign language, many of them speaking English, of course. Currency is Polish zloty, which is equivalent to 4.5. 1 euro is around 4.5 PLN, and 1 is around 4.2 PLN. Tax rates are the CIT, the corporate income taxes base rate is 19%, VAT is 20%, PIT we have two rates, 17%, and the upper one 32%, which will be changed next year to 41%. As you can also see, our economy is stably growing since we've joined the OECD in 1996. Then Poland joined EU in 2004. In 2009, we reached the high income economy status, and in 2017, we reached the status of a developed market. So since the transition times in the early 90s grew by almost 400%. So that's something to boast about, I would say. As it comes to Poland and in the post-COVID world, actually our real GDP drop is far better than it was predicted in 2020, in mid-2020, and is only minus 2.7%. So that was partially thanks to the robust economy before the COVID times, and also thanks to the programs that supported the economical stability during the COVID time. Programs run by the government. Speaking about the anti-crisis shield mostly. As you can see, yes, we have one of the smallest real GDP declines in the EU. Our projected rebound in 2021 is near the 2019 levels. I'll proceed with further information. So Poland is one of the largest in the world pools of developers, and in the CE region, of course. As you can see, we have the first place in the world, second place in algorithms in the world, and third place in the hacker rank of the best developers worldwide. So you can see the numbers of developers in CE region. So it's more than 400,000 developers. Many of them, of course, the majority working in the business shared services sector, gaming sector, R&D sector. Poland in general, the whole business shared services sector in Central Eastern Europe is about 700,000 people. In Poland, we employ. It's about, like, apart from speaking about the developers, but speaking of the services sector in general, we have more than 340,000 people employed in the sector. Poland ranks 5th in technology skills in the world, 10th in data science skills in the world, and 3rd in math in Europe. It's according to the Global Skills Index by Group. Hence, Polish programmers, of course, never give up, and we have the 3rd place in this ranking. 2.7%. Past the last 10 years, actually almost 11 now, we observe a large inflow of R&D related projects that companies want to establish their presence here in Poland. As you can see, the map, it shows of every one of them, but you can see some big names there like Google, Microsoft, Nokia, Huawei, and other companies, Samsung, Ericsson. So these companies trusted Poland, and it's to establish their presence here. And in 2020, we have more than 120,000 people employed in the R&D sector. As it comes to the map of the Polish AI, we have Amazon, Intel, Samsung, TomTom, NVIDIA, Ericsson, with 2 of their R&D centers located in Kraków and Łódź. Aptiv, T-Mobile, Ringer, Axel Springer, and UBS. We have over 30 R&D centers developing AI, big data, and software products in Poland, over 600 foreign companies that opened shared services center in Poland, employing 250 specialists, and increasing investment budgets for R&D and innovations, especially by global players like IBM, Nokia, Intel, Motorola, Samsung. Later on, I will tell a bit of incentives related to R&D and innovations, but like I said, it'll be in a moment. Itself is the central point of the global network of Google for startups. So the network is 125 countries. Agnieszka Pleniewicz-Bieniek is the country director.
Poland manages the network of 7 Google for Startups campuses.
Marta Krupińska, head of Google for Startup UK, leads the first startup campus established. We also do have in Warsaw the Microsoft Technology Center. It's the first in CE region and 46th in the world. It carries support duties for digital transformation by providing expertise and tools and cooperation with private and public players. So here we can see their scope of the innovation, so-called. The 2 biggest tech giants, the top, let's say, flagship investments in Poland related to R&D are the Google and Google Cloud, where Google invested and is investing $2 billion in the Google Cloud region, free availability zones, and the biggest investment in infrastructure of this type in Poland, and it is a part of Google Cloud worldwide network consisting of 20 cloud regions. And Microsoft is the second tech giant with $1 billion to be invested in a data center in Poland. It will scale cloud to provide access to secure enterprise-grade cloud services to the country's ecosystem for startups, entrepreneurs, enterprises, and government. Speaking of the regional public aid packages to support new investments, as you can see on the map, we have here shown all the 16 regions, with each of them sporting
different maximum
thresholds of public aid availability. So for Warsaw, it's only for new investments for the city itself. The surrounding regions have like 20% threshold, and the rest of the region is of the Mazowieckie Voivodeship is 35%. What are the tools as it comes to incentives available for new investments? We have the national incentives. So this is the CIT exemption, which is between 10 and 15 years of tax-free period. Cash grants for strategic projects that are about 10 to 15%. It depends on the complexity of the projects, and let's say if more sophisticated processes are carried out in a new established center, the more you can expect after meeting the access criteria, the quantitative criteria, and the qualitative criteria. The preceded by PAIH itself, And if you like to submit your application, you do it directly to PAIH, to Center of Investments. Other types of incentives are their local incentives, like real estate tax exemption for up to 5 years. This is granted by the local communes in Poland. And training local employment offices. There are also, of course, the EU funds. Well, this 2021 is a bit of transition year because the previous programming period for EU funds has ended in 2020, and the new perspective is still under negotiations. It's not yet fully operative. So these are the three, let's say, levels of incentives that are available in Poland. And speaking of R&D, there are further tools, tax instruments, so to speak, that are available in Poland, and they are apart from the talked a moment ago. So there are R&D tax cuts and innovation box, so intellectual property rights related tax reliefs. They are all. You can apply them being an entrepreneur. You can apply them directly in your yearly tax payment to the tax office. You can also benefit from the in the pursuit of R&D activities. You can also apply for being an R&D center. We can reach this status, and the Ministry of Economic Development carries out the procedure, and it's the most advantage of the biggest advantage of this R&D center status is the easier access to funds for innovativeness development from public aid programs. This is basically a brief description of Poland and its capability. I can only say that I encourage you to contact PAIH directly, either through my email or writing to invest@paih.gov.pl. We're waiting for you to reach out to us. Thank you very much.
Dziękuję, Radek. Thank you, Mr. Radek. Now, the presentation that you have also been waiting, presentation of Hub Brussels, on what is situation with foreign investment, what we can offer to foreign companies and to foreign startups wishing to grow in Brussels. Emmanuel, Mr. Emmanuel de Berghem will now take the floor. Emmanuel, are you there?
Hello, Nicola. Hello, Radek. Thank you very much for your very nice and impressive presentation.
Thank you as well.
I will share my document. Can you see it on a full screen? Nicholas? You can see? So, my presentation will be much shorter. It's just an introduction about Hub Brussels. So, but at first I would like to thank Venture Cafe for giving us this opportunity to present Brussels to Polish startups and companies. So, Hub Brussels, actually, this is the Economic Development Agency for the Brussels Capital Region. So it's not acting for Belgium, it's just acting for the Brussels Capital Region. So it's a team of over 300 people, of which 2/3 are based in Brussels and 1/3 dispatched in 33 offices across the world, including one in Warsaw. All of them are dedicated to the support of the 100,000 Brussels-based entrepreneurs and foreign companies which are considering to set up in Brussels. So, Hub Brussels' core business is to offer Brussels entrepreneurs free of charge guidance in strategic corporate development in order to boost their autonomy, facilitate their decision-making, expand their knowledge, and widen their network. So a first mission of Hub is to help companies to start and grow. That means, for example, provide guidance to draft a business plan and financial plans, which is the first step when you want to create a company and to register it. Provide support to submit application for environmental and building permits, which are usually required for most productive activities in Brussels. Inform them about the financial subsidies or grants available for their businesses. Jan has mentioned the 1819 website, which is made for companies that want to start or which are just created in Brussels. This is hosted by Hub Brussels. Help companies to connect with investors, business angels, and financial institutions to get all the funding they need. Hub Brussels manages also the major sectorial cluster based in Brussels. Just to name a few, we have in Hub Brussels Software Brussels for the IT sector, Screen Brussels for the audiovisual sector, EcoBuild for all the sustainable construction, or Life Tech Brussels for all the life science sectors. So usually the main objectives of this cluster is to establish networks among firms, to analyze technical and commercial trends, to provide technical and management training, to facilitate higher innovation, to lobby government for infrastructure, to improve regulatory policy, and of course to create a brand for the region. Okay. Another mission of Hub Brussels is to help business to export their products or services. So in normal times, we organize about 80 missions every year all over the world, mainly through economic mission, state visit, and which are sometimes led by political delegation, sometimes not. So we also provide subsidies to help them to participate to international fairs, create documentation in different languages as well as websites, sometimes to open an office abroad, or even to participate to international tenders, which can be quite costly sometimes. And the last mission of Hub Brussels is, of course, to attract and support the setting up of any foreign company which is considering to invest in Brussels. So we provide guidance to any practical aspect of establishing a business in Brussels. For instance, we help to identify the type of legal entity you need for your company and the step to create it. We facilitate contacts with service providers and local public institutions. We also help you to identify the location you need. And finally, if you are not sure that Brussels is the right location for your business, we'll provide you with an office free of charge during 3 months in order for you to take the time to test Brussels in real conditions. So our mission is to attract foreign companies as well as talent who have a project that we consider strategic for Brussels. The sectors and subsectors that we consider strategic for Brussels are in life science, digital health and medical device, in digital tech, government tech and data processing and AI, of course. In the creative industry, we focus on audiovisual, In finance, we focus on fintech and insurtech. Of course, as Brussels is the capital of Europe, we focus in legal and public affairs, and especially in attracting international association, international organization, legal services, and RegTech. And as Jan Lichota mentioned, as also sustainable economy is also a priority of the Brussels capital region, and we focus mainly on green building and waste and recycling. So that means that the subsidies, the financial grants, and all the public investment funds that we have in Brussels will always have a positive attention to the project related to the sectors and these subsectors. So by doing so, our clear ambition is to contribute to the sustainable growth of the regional economy and to have a positive impact on job creation and to boost, of course, the attractiveness of Brussels. So that's it for me. That was a short introduction on Hub Brussels. Our website is Why Brussels. You can get a lot of additional information of what we can offer on this website. But of course, our main contact is Nicolas, who is based in Warsaw and who will be always keen to support you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. And don't forget that two things, that we are in the process of reopening the economy. We are reopening the economy in Warsaw, also in Brussels. But reopening the economy, it means that people will come back to office and incubator will be again open for
from September,
Polish companies. And it's also a message to because we listened to Jan, which is we are multilingual. After for the roundtable and questions, we can ask for question in English, French, and Polish, or Dutch if you wish. So
yeah, that's great. Everyone finds something.
Eva, I give you the microphone again.
Yeah, sure. So thanks a lot, Emmanuel, for such a great presentation. And now we are moving to the startup ecosystem. And I would like to invite to the stage Maciek Sadowski. Maciek is a CEO of Startup Hub Poland and the best person in Poland to talk about a startup ecosystem. So I'm sure that Maciek share some useful information. Maciek, can you join us? Great.
Certainly.
Okay, great. So Maciek, stage is yours.
Thank you, Eva, very much for this invitation. As always, I'm super happy to be one of the honorable soldiers of the case of promoting Poland and explaining our friends, this time from Brussels, how beautifully this ecosystem has been developed throughout last years, I would say 11, 12 years, and where we have, where it has led us till now, and what are our plans for the future. I also have some numbers about our ecosystem. I hope that I will not share the information that you already have from PAIH, but this great presentation, by the way. But if you find some information overlapping, it is just good for you to make it more memorable, and to keep it to your vision of Poland.
Sure. We are making sure that we are selecting the best people from Poland to talk about Poland. So,
but Eva,
sure that it will be good.
Having you on the line, I need to say that I'm always very shy when you introduce me in such a beautiful words, because I know for good that Poland has plenty of great leaders and insiders who can do even better job than I. But still, I feel motivated to provide really good glance on how the ecosystem works in Poland.
Great. So stage is yours, Maciek.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Nicola. I will share my screen because the presentation will help immensely. And here it is. I just need some good soul to confirm whether, and if we are good, I will start from here.
It works.
Okay, it works. So I will start with referring to Emmanuel's great presentation, where also Emmanuel touched the topic of COVID. Of course, it's impossible to avoid this very important factor and phenomenon in talking about ecosystem. I have some hidden remarks about how COVID influenced Polish high-tech, startup, and venture capital sector. And I think you might be surprised in certain extents what good came to our startup scene from the COVID. When the COVID started, I was very pessimistic. I didn't know how long will the lockdown and lockdowns take. I thought that many startups will suffer huge problems in operations and maybe with fundraising. Luckily, my presumptions were very inaccurate, very, very pessimistic. And today I can tell you a little bit more how we went through this difficult process. My name is Maciej Sadowski. I'm friend of Venture Cafe from the beginning of existence of this great organization in Poland. And I'm also CEO of Startup Hub Poland. It's a 10 years young organization, NGO, that helps startups circulate all across Central Eastern Europe in general, but Central Eastern Europe in particular. We are bringing startups from abroad to let them work with Polish or international colleagues here in Poland, in Warsaw, in our hubs. We have 16 very strong cities which can provide good infrastructure, good financial systems. Of course, the legal and taxation framework is same for all regions in Poland. And I also work as a chairman in the Committee for High-Tech, Diversity and Innovation in Polish Chamber of Commerce, which might be a useful information for those of you who want to interact or at least get introduced by me, by us, by Eva and our friends to commerce in Poland, to people who actually are well established in Polish market and who really want to absorb some innovative solutions also from other markets. So this is my mission, and today I will go with the first information, which is we have a brand new insight, a brand new report from our friends from Trendbook and PFR. I will elaborate about this organization. In English, it will be PDF, Polish Development Fund, and they have produced together with a newspaper, online newspaper, Mam Startup, which means I have a startup.com, a great overview of what Polish investors find as most attractive verticals or more attractive domains to invest in. So what kind of startups are particularly sexy for our venture capital market? By our market, I mean not only venture capital funds registered in Poland, but also international peers who are willing to put some of their portfolio capacities into Polish high-tech sectors. And it probably the composition of this slide, the composition of this list will not surprise you. Renewable energy in the moment when my generation, people from 80s, from 70s, from the 20th century, we are very ready to accept and very ready to transform Polish economy, not only as a mediocre market for renewable energy and clean tech, but as a leader of it. I know it takes time, but there are people who are thinking in terms of a massive reconstruction of our energy sector, and startups have a special role here to play. Health tech, genomics, and nano after COVID, after what happened on global stock exchanges, I don't need to tell you why this very vertical is so popular among venture capital investors as well. Biotech, agri-tech, and food tech, something important, because for those of you who have some image of Poland, we are a very agrar country. We are a country that is covered by field, and the agriculture is very strong here in Poland, yet undeveloped. Why it's important? Not that I want to say something bad about country that I try to represent in front of you today. It is an important factor because in the undevelopment of agrar industry makes a huge space, a huge potential for startups to just come to farmers and introduce them solutions that can immensely help them being less harmful, and keep the production very high and healthy. Data protection and cybersecurity is very important. While we moved through the COVID time, we transit into online meetings, into collaborate online work with our colleagues from teams, with our business partners. We all moved a serious part of our business identity and other data to the online sphere, and we encounter in Poland very sad episodes of cyber attacks recently, and this is why investors also accept very big number of cybersecurity solutions to their portfolios. They believe that this is a challenge of next years, especially after COVID. Gaming and entertainment also does not require the justification. I believe that the belt from Minsk, Belarus, through Poland, Warsaw, Wrocław, down to Prague in Czech Republic, this is in my opinion a golden or even a diamond belt of great gaming engineers. So startups that are also working in high tech or even in entertainment related to online fun, they will be also very huge. Esport as well. In Katowice, we have one of the major events worldwide for esport connoisseurs. And enterprise digitalization, it's so trivial that I don't even need to comment on that. Startups that can help organizations, businesses, NGOs, governments to be more online and more digitalized are also very interested for our VC funds. And what I have said vertical wise has also a very good reflection in the number and valuation of the transactions in Poland made 1 year before COVID. Let me call it Q1 of year 2019 and Q1 of 2021. Let's say 1 year after Wuhan, 1 year after the pandemic spread it. And here you can see that although the value of investment has a little bit decreased in Q1 2021 in comparison to 2020, still I'm a huge optimist because the number of transactions has significantly jumped up. It means that Polish investors want to reevaluate their chances and their investment policies towards startups. It's a very good sign. Maybe the tickets are still small. I will tell you the average is 2.6 million zloty, which is what, 0.6 million euro, 0.65. But the median of investments is around 250, 270,000 euro. Okay, I accept the label that Poland is a seed country for seed investment, and this is good. In the chain of innovation, we don't want, at least I speak for myself, we don't want to compete with Silicon Valley, Chengdu, or London or Brussels in the first place, but we want to provide the global ecosystem of high tech a good pool of solutions which are already proven by investors, invested, and they are going slowly or fast to their scale or growth stage. But this is something that Eva probably smiles right now when I repeat it again and again, like Caton in the Roman Senate, speaking about Cartagena. I'm speaking all the time about this one very important fact, that if you take a look at Poland as a single market, you will say, okay, this is nicely growing up ecosystem of startups. But if you accept my narration, my vision, you will see that Poland for some years already, I would say 4 years, played the role of the advocate, of the hub, of the launching pad of the whole Central Eastern Europe. We have guys from Belarus, 5-star engineers, from Ukraine, from Moldova, from Baltic states, from the Balkans, from Visegrad region, from four countries from Visegrad, and that complemented with the natural pool of Polish engineers creates a very interesting place for from competences, engineers who can work in startups and corporations, but predominantly in startups. And when you look at Central Eastern Europe as a whole, which is a very rare point of view, you can see that we have more academic institutes than Scandinavia, and we are close to the number of startups to Mediterranean area with such a powerful economies like Italy, France, Spain, or Israel. So this all together creates a special responsibility for Poland to be the doorway for all Eastern Europeans to get to the tier 1 level of investment and transactions. And when you take a look at the number of venture capital rounds in recent years, it is from 2013. It is a sum delivered by Dealroom and PDF Ventures, Polish Development Fund Ventures. You will see that the number of rounds is really powerful, and not really less in the overall value of the venture capital investments. Only great and splendid Estonia exceed us in the general sum from 2013. But this is my a little bit arrogant assumption. In year 2021, we will be ahead because the number of mega rounds, the big rounds, let's say unicorn rounds, is really getting significant and visible in the general overview of the sector. And also, it is not, people in Poland sometimes say we are waiting for our first unicorn, but from every piece of methodology that I have learned from my career in venture capitalism, I know that Allegro, our Polish eBay, let's say, or Polish Amazon e-commerce platform, or CD Projekt Red, these are already great examples of unicorns that went through the startup stage in Poland, went through all development stage. Right now they are IPO'd and they are strong positions on our local Warsaw Stock Exchange. And generally speaking, I need to say that the general ecosystem, the flow of the blood, innovation blood in our veins in Poland is very good through startups to stock exchange, to the public market. It's really important, and I'm happy that stock exchange is interested in absorbing this kind of projects. And now a little bit about the Polish pool of talent. So 19 very good technical universities. I know they are not like Cornell or MIT or Cambridge yet, but they are fine universities. I see it from the perspective of American or Canadian investors who say that Polish engineers are really top-notch people. 1.3 million people are studying every year. This is the data from year 2019 and 2020, the academic year. People are studying in Poland, and every fourth of them, he or she, are engineers, are from high-tech faculties. So if you go to Warsaw downtown, right now we don't have a lockdown, you can have your coffee or a glass of wine, and you through a rock, probably you will hit a skilled engineer working here from Poland or from abroad, coming to Poland. And this is something that has been very nicely introduced by my colleagues from PI, Polish Investment for Polish Investment and Trade Agency. But I want to give you also a little bit different perspective. We have what kind of actors are working here in Poland, are active here. So we have National Center for Research and Development. This is a powerful organization that proliferates European Union and Polish national money to R&D sector, to startups, mainly to startups, but also to big corporations. And people do not believe me, but if you have a startup registered in Poland and you have a innovative agenda, it's enough for you to attract 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 million euro non-returnable, non-equity grant for your startups. This is more than all other countries in Central Eastern Europe have to offer. We have agency for industrial development. They offer great mentoring, but also interest rate loans for startups, very rare situation, and I'm happy that we have this instrument. We have Polish Agency for Enterprise Development, which also helps accelerators, for example, to intensify their efforts in finding startups. I will speak about the greatest model that I'm a big fan of, which is Poland Prize, in a second. Polish Investment and Trade Agency, I don't need to really introduce because you know guys better than me already. I wish you know them even better because it's a great agency for facilitating inflow and outflow of startups and innovation, and also mediocre and big industry. This is a very short slide. I will keep 10 seconds on it. A massive inflow of public money to the branch of startups. 0.6 billion planned to be inserted to the market, because in Poland we don't have so many rich families and rich family office like in Belgium or Great Britain or Netherlands. So somebody need to give this prothetic function, and this is one of the programs called Starting Poland that actually thought about it and gives money to to startups. What is important on this slide, and here I will take 5 seconds, is this number of 77%. Look, ICT engineers. In Poland, when you think about it, in 80s, when I was a child, we had computers already. Late socialism, we had computers. We didn't have laboratories with biotech, for chemistry, but we had our desktops and we were coding. This is why right now every 3 out of 4 startuppers do their business does his or her business in ICT sector. And the Poland Prize, I promised you to tell you about it. So every country that is ambitious, every country that has a strong and positive agenda for increasing its ecosystem has a brain gain program for startups. Poland Prize, I participated in creating this program, and then I was one of the accelerators who ran the pilot version of it. Right now we are away from it. We help as a brother, as a sister of 11 excellent accelerators spread out all across Poland regionally, who help startups from abroad to find their chances in these cities and meet local investors, local corporations. Here I also want to add that corporations from abroad find Warsaw, Kraków, Gdańsk, Wrocław, Poznań very often as a local headquarter for the whole region. So here we are competing only with Vienna, I believe, or Istanbul. Moscow, not. We are already ahead in terms of corporate market. And this acceleration framework of Poland Prize provides startups non-equity free grant money for development of checking or proving the concept of the solution in Poland. It's around 75,000 euro, which might not shock you how overwhelming this money is. But please remember, please keep in mind that for developing one milestone in Poland in comparison to the same R&D milestone in, for example, Ottawa or Boston or Silicon Valley, you pay 3 times less because costs in Poland are still so superbly working for the advance of Polish market. So if I have $1 million and American have $1 million and we do similar startup, probably I will go far ahead with development of the technology and go faster to the market, only because of the regional circumstances in Central Eastern Europe. Having said that, I want to thank you very much for your attention. I haven't took even one brief during my presentation because I know that Venture Cafe meetings are very substantive, very congruent, and there is no time for anecdote, there is no time for longer description. So I give you just a glance, I give you just a highlight of some points that I find particularly important, and I hope.
Maciek, you are on mute.
I've been on mute all the time?
No, just now.
Okay. So thank you very much, Eva. Thank you very much, Nicola, for organizing this splendid event. Thank you for giving me a microphone for a while. If there are any questions, I am available under my LinkedIn and email. I will be also in the networking session. And I really hope that you have seen the last slide when I made a claim. Brussels.
We did.
Keep the things forward. Let's do some more business with Poland because we expect your capital, your wisdom, and your international networking. These are 3 factors that we still lack in Poland. And with you together, we can really go super high and be a good alternative for China and the US.
Wow, those are powerful words. So yeah, keeping my fingers crossed to do that. I think that this bridge is a beginning, and then we can do something together. Before we will move on to the Brussels side, I would like to invite also Natalia Skrzypek from Natalia. Thank you, Maciek. As always, amazing. And Natalia represents OVH Cloud, and she will share some information about the opportunity for the startups. Afterwards, we will move to the Brussels side, and then we have the networking. So Natalia, stage is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here and speak today. Let me quickly share the screen then. Okay. When we are in the topic of startups, I would like to share some information with you regarding the OVH Cloud Startup Program and what can it bring to your startup. I don't know if you have known this before, but OVH Cloud was not so long ago a startup itself. It was one of the first unicorns in France. It was founded by a Polish family. And you can say that startups is actually in the DNA of OVH Cloud. We have offices and data centers around the world, as well as program managers, just like me, for the startup program in each of the regions around the globe.
There will be 2 presentations, half an hour.
Okay, I think someone else was speaking. Nonetheless, we have
already Mr. Match, I hear him, I like him very much, but it was a bit over his time. And now, because it will be half an hour, like about an hour. You say 5 minutes, okay. But
someone else speaking.
We should have known before this.
So, we have a dedicated offer for both startups that just start with their MVP and for scale-ups. So how we understand starters, these are the companies that they just were built. They are looking for infrastructure to base their solution. They have a small team. They may have some internal resources when it comes to funding. Maybe they have a business angel they are working with. So yeah, in our words, this is a starter, whereas a scale up, this is actually a startup that already has a commercialized product or service. They might have an existing customer base, also a much larger team. Scale-ups are usually also after some series of funding. And we have dedicated tracks for both starters and scale-ups. So when it comes to starters, the program takes 12 months, and you are eligible to a 10,000 euro voucher that you can use for the public cloud instances on OVH Cloud. Also, what's interesting, you can use up to 6 hours of technical support with our engineers and cloud solution architects. So if you would want to consult your solution architecture, or you would want to think about cost optimization or do an audit of your infrastructure, this is something that you definitely can do during those technical support hours. What's more, we always try to give the startups as much exposure as possible. So we are very active on our social media, and very often when we take part in conferences or roundtables or debates, we tend to invite startups to share their views as well. So the other track is for scale-ups. And what's interesting, actually, if you apply and you first receive the voucher for 10,000 euros, if we see that there is a huge potential, your startup is actually accelerating, and the 10,000 euros is not enough, we can consider to boosting your voucher and moving you to the scale-up program, where you can get up to 100,000 euros to use on the OVH Cloud public cloud instances. And the main difference is that you, instead of 6 hours, you receive up to 20 hours of technical support. The rest is more or less the same. What's also important is that after the program, so after the 12 months, we often still cooperate with the startups, so you can become either a customer with some preferences and discounts, or you can become part of our partner program. How to apply? This is actually quite simple. So you just need to navigate to the website startup.ovhcloud.com, and then there's a simple form that you need to fill in. It requires basic information, just like your contact information, the infrastructure that you're using, some elements of your business model. And then after 7 days, you should be able to receive information if you are accepted or not. I think that it's very important to think it through when to apply for the program, because once you're accepted, you have 12 months. This can be a lot, but this can also be very little, depending on your project. So it's always best to think about what time would be perfect for you to actually leverage the most of what the startup program can offer for you. Besides the technology, the vouchers, and also the technical support, we often run different events like mentorship, or just like right now, the pitch contest, where the startups can upload their 3-minute pitch as a video, and they have a chance to win 10,000 euros, or mentoring with our CEO or our startup program director. So below you have the website address, and I highly encourage you to try. And yes, I think that would be it. If you are interested, you can contact me directly on LinkedIn, or you can just apply at the startup.ovhcloud.com. And if you have any questions, yeah, we can stay in touch on LinkedIn, or
Okay, thank you, Natalia and Maciek. Maciek, I have watched a few bridge. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. Even today we went a bit over time, but you are so passionate about startup, what you are doing. You nicely said you didn't, it's not your intention to compete with Brussels, but I know that participating with you to debate or seminar, webinar, and I already informed my colleague in Brussels, you have to put the threshold very high. Now, in this presentation that we are going to hear, we had two goals. First, to give you an overview of a welcoming structure in Brussels for startups, but also to pinpoint one of those welcoming structure, one of those incubator, and we chose to have one not the easiest sector you would think of, but to creative industry. That's why we have the chance to have Mr. Edouard Meyer with us, who is heading the Creatis incubator, or in the network Pali Pali in Brussels. He will fulfill those two goals. I hope you are there. Edouard, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. Very happy to talk to you about our project. So, as you said, our I'm just going to change and share a different presentation. I'm going to share this one. Yeah. So, as you said, it's a bit specific because we are indeed specialized in the cultural industries. So we run I'm going to just say a few words about our organization to start, and I only have 10 minutes. So our company, Pali Pali, is trying to help any startups to grow their project within our sector. So far, we run our business like a startup studio. That means we already invested and run some of those projects. The most known in Brussels would be CU, which is a temporary program, a social incubator with more than 110 projects. KissKissBankBank is one of the leading crowdfunding company in Europe, and we run in Brussels more than 400 projects a year. A is a live stream company, a new music tech company, which are very, very happy to launch during these days. And Creatis, as you say, is the first European project for a creative incubator dedicated to creative industries. That means in Brussels, when you are within our sector, we're one of the biggest private player to play with. And when we run places, we try to make them attractive so that we were named one of the 10 coolest neighborhoods in Europe, where we created one of our biggest places, the CUN Mansion. So in this presentation, I would like to just share my ideas, what I think that Brussels is great for startups, and why also startup ecosystem is booming in Brussels. So it was not always the case, and when you look at Brussels, it was not always the best place for startups to be created. But it really, because the market is not that big, it's a bit crushed sometimes between France and Netherlands, which are big, and those which were a bit things which were a bit difficult are now really an advantage to create companies in Brussels. And it really changed the past 5 to 10 years. It became a much, much better place to create startups, and even, in my opinion, a great way to create a great place to create startups. So the main reasons, in my opinion, are it's because you have big tech companies in Brussels. Since it's the capital of Europe, it attracted huge companies, GAFAM, but also European big companies. And they are willing not only to lobby European Union, but also to take action within the Brussels ecosystems. The second part is I'm going to do a quick focus on great VCs we have and hubs, because in the past 5 years, we have 2 new VCs and hubs in Brussels, which are super attractive. We also had the chance to have in Brussels 1 unicorn, which is leading the way. It's a data management company, which is very inspiring. And all of this creating new startups, new media, new initiatives, which is a virtuous cycle, which is very good now. So right now, it's really, it's not just booming for us, but really, you really have all these trends in the websites, everyone saying that Brussels is really being on the map of the startup ecosystem. So the first thing, which is super interesting for me, is that big tech companies are establishing for real in Brussels. So of course, since there is the European Union, they come to lobby the European Union and to advertise and lobby on tech, but they also participate more and more in programs, incubators, accelerator programs within Brussels, and they're really trying to encourage this ecosystem in a local way. And we all, as entrepreneurs in Brussels, we all benefit from those big companies being present in Brussels. So that's really, really beneficiary for us. The second thing is I'm going to do a bit of a focus on one private VC, which is super inspiring as well, and one hub, which is new and big in Brussels. The first VC, which is a very interesting one, is called eFounders. eFounders in 10 years, and they really kind of started paved the way and start this trend in Brussels. They created more than 30 startups, and now they have a cumulative value of 2 billion valuation. So the startup they launched, you might not know them. It's called Front, Aircalls, Pendex. It's only SaaS, but they are very, very successful, and they are accelerating right now, and we are very lucky to have those kind of VCs in Brussels. The second thing I would like to focus on is one place, because Brussels is not so big. So when you have a big place, that it's really a game changer for the whole ecosystem. And Bicentral was a new place we established in the city center, in the central railway station of Brussels. I really made a big change within the ecosystem for the past 3 years. So you can see it's really recent, but it's really big changes. So it's now 3 years ago, but it's more than 30 founders of tech and society issues in Brussels and Belgium. And they decided that we were lacking a totem place, really a big place to focus on tech and to to defend those issues, and they created Bicentral. So all those ones are successful entrepreneurs. They established to use this landmark building in really the center of Brussels. And now you have many entrepreneurs coming there to work. You have Google who established a digital atelier. You have different programs and incubator programs. And you have more than 200 entrepreneurs on campus, more than 50 organizations, which are focused on 3 values. One is learn. You have a large number of academies in the place. One is undertake, and the other one is more to lobby or inspire. So as you see, those examples are a bit out of date now. You have much more organization who join the project. I'll get back to that in a minute. So Bicentral, there are 5 priorities, and you could say that those 5 priorities are pretty much close to the priorities in Brussels. One is the lifelong learning. We have a lot of academies and universities establishing in tech in Brussels right now. The second one is artificial intelligence. Third one is education. Fourth one is early stage investment. And the fifth one is a strong commitment to women in tech. Bicentral, it's a focus for AI in Belgium. So you have a lot of initiatives. One is led by Microsoft, one is led by Black Belt, which makes it a point of focus for artificial intelligence in Belgium. And education is big. And we know that the ecosystem is booming in Brussels because we have this round ecosystem where you have the startups working well. You have the public sector like Hub doing a great job. You have the private sector like B-Angels, which is private VCs, or eFunders, which is more like a startup studio, which is really efficient. And you also have the academic projects coming in. And in the past 3 years, you have more like 12 different tech schools or tech initiatives which established in Brussels, which is a very good sign because it's going to give results also in the future for our ecosystem, which is really great. So like I said, one of the reasons we also are confident in our private ecosystem is because we have a unicorn in Brussels. We have one. We probably have a second one in 2021, but it's not sure yet. But this one, Colibra, is a very successful one. So they raised 100 million from Capital G, so Google Investment Fund. And they are now valued more than $1 billion, and they're growing as well. And they grew a lot for the past few months. So the main thing they do is data governance, catalog solution, and powerful tools for companies to use data. And you could see that data is also a big trend actually in Brussels for new startups. So with this ecosystem of one unicorn leading the way, one big place like Bicentral, one very successful private VCs as eFounders, and all like the one from Hub, which were presented to you, we really have a chance to have a huge and quite nice ecosystem. So it gives results. And now I just want to introduce you to, for the minutes I have, to 3 initiatives I really like, which are very recent startups, really recent initiative, which makes us very in the right place right now. So the first one is called 19. So 19, you might have heard them in the rest of most of the world. They are called 42 Network, 42. They were based in France in the beginning, but have more than 20 schools all around the world. You have some in Japan, in Brazil, in the US, in Africa, in different countries, South Africa. So we are very lucky to have one of those in Brussels because they are super innovative. They train more than almost 500 people a year. They aim to train 1,000 a year very soon. It's a very high-end teaching, no teachers, peer-to-peer learning, a very innovative way to teach. And they are based now in Bicentral. They were in another location before. Just another startups we like very much in Brussels because the mobility is a strong thing in Brussels. It's Cowboy, it's electric bikes, but they did some serious funding as well last year, and now they are selling their bikes all over Europe, and we're very proud of having an electric bike company which is as high-end based in Brussels. One other company we like very much is Casidomi. Casidomi, they launched successfully in France earlier last year, and it's e-commerce which is sustainable. And this e-commerce is also raised significant amount of money for Series 2 last year, and they are really booming as well right now. So as you can see, we have all the ecosystem working well, which is quite new because for the past few years we had some part of the ecosystem, but now we have all of this working together, and we really happy for ourselves to be entrepreneurs in Brussels right now. So that's it for the presentation. And Maria, for your question, transformation of education, that means it's the way of teaching is different. So the people, they don't need any requirements to go within the school. As long as they're 18, they can come as they want. And then they get into this training where they learn by themselves based on projects, and that's how they succeeded their education. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Edouard. You have been very disciplined on time, but it showed how commitment is to the event. Mrs. Eva, are you there?
Yes, of course, I'm here. So thank you so much for this last but not least presentation. And and now, as I told you before, we are moving to the tables. So you need to switch on your mic or your mic and camera, and to change the table, you can double click to other table and talk with different people who are present here. So we'll have the 30 minutes for the networking. So please use it to get to know new people from Warsaw and from Brussels, and also from different countries, because usually at these innovation bridges we have people from all over the world, and after that we will come back here and we will have a chance to hear some presentations of the best startups from both sides. So now we will move to the networking. Also, you can use the chat, general chat, or the private chat to communicate with somebody and to find the specific person on the platform. The tables have the names. So if you would like to talk with somebody from a specific organization or a company, you can also find them there. And if you have any questions, just please write in the chat, and we will be supporting you. So thank you so much, and now enjoy the networking.